Today we're being joined by Greater Western Victoria Rebels draftee Harry Lawson. Harry, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So tell us a bit about yourself for people that don't know too much about what type of player you are, what position you play, and what is some of your biggest traits and assets.
I'm a back pocket, back flanker at the Rebels. I play a club footy at Redan Football Club in Ballarat.
Yep.
I'm a boarder at St. Pat's College in Ballarat as well, originally from Carlton.
Okay.
And probably my strengths are probably rebounding and kicking.
Okay. So obviously your teammate Lachie Charleson and George Stevens, Lamar Loyal, you got a lot of teammates that are in that potential of being drafted. What's it like playing with those guys, and any special connections for any of those guys in particular?
It's unreal learning from them because they've got plenty of experience playing in those national champs and all the games that they play in VFL. It's good. Connections wise, probably I'm close with a few of them. I go to school with Lockyer, so I'm close with him, and pretty close with Joel and Lamont as well.
So with Lockyer, I don't know if you heard or saw the goal kicking comp I did with Lockyer on last week. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
Yeah. I watched it last night. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, like I said with Lockyer at the time, it was one of my bad performances. I seemed every time I do a challenge with someone, the conditions are always terrible. So, but here we are. I knew Lockyer would win. Sorry.
The wind starts to come into it a bit when.
Yeah, and which as you said, you watch, you would have seen the directly in front of us, it just blows straight like that. So it was terrible. But anyway, so how's the nerves before the draft? Obviously it's not too long, just under a few months away. How are you feeling with everything like that?
Oh yeah, I'm probably not as nervous as Lachie and all those boys, so we've probably got a bit more chance and hope than me. But as you keep your views open, and you just anything can happen at the end of the day.
So how did the opportunity of the Rebels come about? How did you get approached? How did that opportunity come to play for the Rebels?
Well, I begin pre-season with them, and probably I think it was probably a week or two between the trial matches for selection. I injured my Achilles, so I couldn't play in the trial game. So unfortunately they couldn't pick me. So I just went back to playing senior footy at Redan, and a couple games in, Deeks come calling, and I joined the squad like halfway through the year.
Okay, so it was I think it was round 11 your first game or something like that. First game for the Rebels. How was that? That's right. So how was that experience from playing from round 11 to playing in the two finals for the Rebels? Obviously, would have been pretty cool to, as you said, come in the side later in the season or mid part of the season and then be able to play in the final series with them.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't expecting it halfway through the year, but I was. I was happy to have the opportunity, and I hope I did well in my position.
Now, obviously, you said you're a defender, so I'm sure at training you've had many battles against Lockyer. If so, you got any particular examples that stick to mind?
Being good mates with him, he doesn't mind to give you a couple cheapies at training or at school footy training. He reckons he's pretty good on the lip, so he dishes it a bit out.
Yeah. Who would you say is an AFL player comparison that you're best described? You said you're a defender, so what style of defender would you compare yourself to for people to get a better idea on what type of player you are and play like?
Probably an Isaac Quaynor. He can take a mark, and he runs by foot, and he can hit his targets, which hopefully I showed glimpses of that at stages.
What's your thoughts on the Rebel season? As you said, you joined round 11. How do you feel you guys have gone for? Like I said with Lockyer, there's a club where they've obviously done well to make finals, but you got Sandringham Drinks that just seem to every single year, obviously winning the premiership on the weekend, but having players after players get drafted in bulk numbers every year, where some of the other clubs aren't as much. So how do you feel like the Rebels are going to be pretty impressive considering the amount of names, I suppose, that aren't at that top range, in terms of getting drafted at least?
Yeah, I wish I got a chance at playing Sandy. It would have been a great experience and something I probably would have cherished playing against some of them. I reckon this year and next year, as Deek said in your podcast, that we have a lot of bottom ages, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of them are very strong players, which probably helped us throughout the year having them play. So yeah, I reckon if you combine our numbers and the numbers this year of blokes getting drafted, I think we hopefully stack up against the best regions.
So, what would you say is your biggest weapon as a footballer? As you mentioned a few times now that you're a defender. What's your biggest weapon? Like, what is it? Your kicking? Is it your running? Is it your marking? What would you say it is?
I reckon my probably my kicking, and probably playing a bit of senior footy. You play against a bigger body, so probably attack on the footy and hopefully not get knocked off it as much.
Yeah. Have you spoken to many clubs at the moment in the AFL side of things? Whether you had more meetings recently, how's that type of journey been for you?
Yeah, I haven't had many. As many as Lachie and those other boys, but yeah, you keep your eyes open, and you just you hope one day that they just keep coming.
So, how was you don't have to say who, but how was your first meeting with the first club you meet? How were you feeling leading up to that day or morning, whatever it was? How were you nervous? How were you feeling going in to meet that particular club or clubs?
Well, I haven't had anyone directly come talk to me, but
Okay.
you just hope that when they spoke to the person that they spoke to about you, that you hope that they like what they hear, I guess.
What's some advice that some of your coaches have given you this season or throughout your whole footy journey so far?
The best one is that when you think you know it all, there's always plenty more to learn and plenty more to take in.
That's very simple. What was that experience like playing in the final series for those few games you played the Rebels in the final series?
Yeah, it was unreal. The pressure definitely ramped up from what it did in the regular season, which is good because then you can hone in on your skills when the pressure's on. And yeah, it was. I wish we got that win over the Falcons, but we didn't. So but yeah, other than that, it was good experience.
Who is some of the players that you feel like in this year's draft it's not getting talked about as much, that should be appreciated a bit more and, get talked about? Obviously, you hear the guys like Harley Reid, Dersmers, McKerchers, all those guys that get talked about non-stop. Is there someone that you feel that's not getting as much talk as they should?
Yeah, there's a few. I reckon probably Lockyer. I reckon he should be getting a bit more notice than what he's getting, and maybe Charlie Edwards from the Sandy Dragons. I played a bit of footy with him growing up, and he's starting to get into a bit of form. So
they had their premiership on the weekend, and obviously you mentioned Flock as well. Obviously kicking 8 goals at 2 months, and he was very modest that day when I asked him in that clip that you would have seen about how many times he replayed it. Have you replayed any of those goals? Do you just remind him about how many goals he kicked? It's pretty hard to get 8.
He's the only times that I've watched it is when he showed me his highlights. I have a few classes with him at school, and he doesn't mind to pull up the 8 goals that's on the AFL YouTube every now and then.
What I know you're a defender, so what is your best ever goal you've ever kicked? Is there any check size, any bananas? If there's any particular goals that struck me, even if it's not even at the Rebels, but anywhere?
Geez, I reckon I've had a couple of goal sessions with him and with Lachie.
Yeah.
And I like to think I stack up against him, but I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know how it goes on game day, but at training, different story.
Is there any particular ones that struck you most? Like, have you got any from the boundary, any torps from the pocket, 50-meter bombs, 60-meter bombs, anything in particular you can think of?
Well, at Mars, there's a strong wind, and you got to in the deep pocket in front of the bistro there. There's a massive wind towards the ground, and if you're hanging up far enough left, you can sneak it in. And I've managed to do that once or twice, so they're probably them.
That's good. Who do you support in the AFL?
Carlton.
Well, it's been disappointing on the weekend. Then obviously starting so well, being 5 goals up, going, gee, we were on here, and then kind of dropped from there. Oh, I mean, it wasn't bad, but like to have that lead so quick and then at halftime, boom, you're pretty much down again.
Yeah,
but you'll be happy with the season.
My hopes are very high at quarter time. I thought I was telling Dad to book the grand final tickets, but
Wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah, it come crashing down pretty quick.
It did. So with Carlton now gone, with Collingwood and Brisbane in this week's granny, who are you going for in this game, or who do you think will win?
Brisbane. As a Carlton supporter, you don't really like Collingwood, so I hope Brisbane get it done.
That's true. Norm Smith?
Geez, I reckon still side bottom. I reckon he'll rise to the occasion.
What did you think of the Brownlow medal last night? A very interesting and close count in the end.
Yeah. There was a few interesting votes given out. I thought Errol Goulden was a sniff there, but Lockyer was just too good in the end.
Yeah, Errol could consider himself stiff. There's plenty of examples where you can say someone was stiff or robbed or handed votes that they should not. But yeah, two goals, 42 in a close game last round was pretty unlucky. Harry, I appreciate you coming on. I just got one final question. You're going to put your recruiter's hat on. You got a hat on, but put the recruiting hat on. Who would you rank in your top 5 draft with the Reeds, McCurges, Dursmans, all those guys? How would you rank your top 5?
Well, top 5.
Or top 3, if you can't think of that many.
I'd probably go Reed, number 1, obviously.
Yeah.
I reckon Dan Curtin's pretty good, so I'll have him at 2.
Yep.
3, probably Sanders.
Yep.
And then at 4, I'll have probably Colby McKercher.
Yeah.
And at 5, George Stevens.
George Stevens being highly rated. Obviously, a teammate of yours, but getting rated a lot more, especially when he's playing some game for Geelong in the VFL. Harry, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. Hopefully it works out for you the rest of the season, or with the AFL draft coming up, and if not, the years after that, mate. So really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it a lot.